House will be in order. The chair lays before the House a communication from the Speaker.
The Speaker's Rooms, Washington, D.C., March 15, 2024. I hereby appoint the Honorable Mike Kelly to act as Speaker pro tempore on this day. Signed, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House of Representatives.
The prayer will be offered by Chaplain Kibben.
Would you pray with me? Every good and perfect gift comes from you, O God, and in your eternal plan, which is far wiser than our own, with vision far broader than we can possibly imagine, you have gifted each one of us uniquely, according to your grace. To some you have given the ability to speak, to utter your word into the noise of this world. May those who have been so graced be faithful to your message of love and mercy. Some you have equipped with the ability to help, to serve those in need. May they do so, revealing the beneficence that comes from your Spirit. To others you have granted the ability to teach, to make clear the lessons you would have us learn. May those who teach prove worthy of this noble calling. And there are those who are truly blessed to be able to offer a word of encouragement, to know exactly what to say in a moment of sorrow or stress. Likewise, there are others who have the facility to give to those who are in want. May each do so with the generosity that reflects your own mercy. And may those you have called to leadership do so with the purpose and the passion that is grounded in and inspired by their love for you. All good gifts around us come from heaven above. We thank you, Lord, for trusting us to use them wisely. Our prayer is offered in your name, and may you be glorified through them. Amen.
The chair has examined the journal of the last day's proceedings and announces to the House the approval thereof. Pursuant to Clause 1 of Rule 1, the journal stands approved. The chair will lead the House in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The chair lays before the House the following communications.
The Honorable, the Speaker, House of Representatives, sir, pursuant to the permission granted in Clause 2H of Rule 2 of the Rules of the U.S. House of Representatives, the clerk received the following message from the Secretary of the Senate on March 14, 2024 at 4:32 p.m. that the Senate passed Senate 50, Senate 1189, Senate 1194, that the Senate passed with an amendment, H.R. 2882. Signed sincerely, Lisa P. Grant, Deputy Clerk. The Honorable, the Speaker, House of Representatives, sir, pursuant to the permission granted in Clause 2H of Rule 2 of the Rules of the U.S. House of Representatives, the clerk received the following message from the Secretary of the Senate on March 14, 2024 at 4:55 p.m. that the Senate agreed to, without amendment, House Concurrent Resolution 84. Signed sincerely, Lisa P. Grant, Deputy Clerk.
Without objection, the House stands adjourned until noon on Tuesday, March 19, 2024, for the morning hour debate and 2 p.m. for legislative business. House adjourns.